We have to find somebody that'll work with us that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business. We're losing.
After 50 Cent released those jail tapes of Diddy, the whole internet exploded. Diddy's career might be over. People were curious about what else 50 was planning. And when he sat down to talk about his Netflix docuseries Sean Combs, The Reckoning, he made it clear that what we've seen so far might only be the beginning. He will be releasing more tapes.
There's other stuff that you just have not shown.
Yeah, well, everything couldn't make the. Was 4 episodes.
Right.
So it was a lot. You had to pick and choose things. Like even in an area where he chooses to date people who he knows previously dated someone. He has a baby by a woman that was dating Tupac.
Wow.
To add to it, but we had to cut it down so we couldn't.
For time.
Yeah.
So are you coming out? I know next year is going to be a number 2. Season 2?
I just put it on YouTube.
I just put it on YouTube.
Yes, that's correct. 50 just gave a hint that more Diddy tapes might come out on YouTube, where anyone can watch them. And maybe the biggest, most shocking, and most harmful piece of news since the 50 Cent interview came out is that Diddy tried to scare and sway a jury. Here is the information.
Well, Diddy was recording it because he thought he was about to beat the case. So he wanted to do a Netflix documentary. Didn't pay the guy, and then 50 got all 140 hours of footage of secret Diddy tactics. Well, there's a guy named Neil who was mentioned in the court, works right up under Diddy, was organizing everything. Allegedly, they are saying that he is on video, film, tampering with witnesses, giving out addresses, offering money, bribing, we'll pay for your lawyers, all kind of shit that could be counted as witness tampering, obstruction of justice. And 50, of all people, has his hands on this footage. And I'm hearing that this could implicate Diddy's lawyers in some bullshit. They could be charged. This shit is getting wild. And I'm hearing that this 50 Cent documentary is just the fucking tip of the iceberg.
This guy in this video said one specific name, and it was Neil, and it automatically made me think of Neil Dominique. Everything that we just covered the other day that came out from Diddy's former chef, Jordan, who was going to be a witness testifying against Diddy in the criminal trial. You remember, she just took to her Instagram calling out Neil Dominique, saying that he was basically the one to give Diddy information that she was testifying to the grand jury. She has been claiming for a while, when she testified to this grand jury on April 2nd of 2024, just 2 weeks later, Diddy's attorney would text her saying, "Dear Chef Jordan, this is Aaron Dyer. I'm Sean Combs' attorney. I left you a voicemail last week, but wanted to follow up. I have been told you have been contacted by law enforcement and might want an attorney to represent you." So that man in this video was basically saying that 50 Cent has video footage of Diddy talking to these people and setting this up to go after.
And the craziest part is that now 50 Cent is saying this himself. He straight up admitted that he has 140 hours of footage after people started talking about it. He even wrote online, "Yes, I have the footage." Oh. That alone had everybody shocked. But it gets even crazy. He has since even gone on to talk about why he decided to attack Diddy like this.
And it's clear. I don't have any reserve, like the fear that they would actually have towards him. I don't think he's.
And as it turns out, a lot of people who refused to appear in earlier documentaries finally decided to show up for this one because they trusted 50 and weren't scared to speak anymore.
There's a lot of people in this docuseries that wasn't in the previous docs that you saw because they said, "No, I'm gonna do that one because 50, that's gonna be the big one." Because I'm not scared of none of that. Like I think it's just the way I was brought up. I don't really register those things. I've been through way more extreme things than these people. I look at the project. It's just another project to me, and they can look and create reasoning for it. It could be their personal take on why it's the way it is. But if they watch the docuseries itself, they'll understand it's been done tastefully, and it is the best version of a docuseries that you'll see on this. Well, he is a big part of the culture. Like he's he made it to a respectable position within culture. Any smart person would pick their fights and you say, I don't really get anything out of it, it's not my business anyway, so why say something about it? Like, the docuseries is me putting together people who had different experiences and letting them tell their truth, right? And a lot of things come out that make clarity for you in a different way to it. But I only was comfortable saying stuff about him because I've been saying it for 20 years. I've said it since that day, I'm like.
One of the biggest moments for him was getting footage from Diddy's final days before his arrest and indictment. Watching that raw material for the first time was an explosive, shocking event.
According to 50.
Really fascinating.
A journalist would ask that, but a journalist would also say, I'm gonna keep my sources secure, but but I got it. Yeah, they can blame it on me that it's that. I think he's gonna actually like the project. He's gonna see that it was done fair, the perspective. Because he's gonna see too many people or he'll be consumed by what his personal experience was with each individual that's saying things about him because he lived these things. She's gonna understand it. You can interview her following that and I'll do the interview with her. I'll make sure I put it together. Yeah, because I had communications with her to understand it, what's going on. And even though she's not in the docuseries, it was important I spoke to her to understand how things transpired. The husband, I spoke to him away from her, separate individual communications. And then see things kind of match up. Like when people say things, I go, oh, okay, I hear what you said. But when you hear things multiple times from people, different people, it kind of rings true to you. He got old real fast. His hair was jet black, like mine. And the next day, he was like a full. All I saw from was the raccoon pictures from the courtroom. When they drew him, it looked like a raccoon.
And just like that, 50 Cent stepped back into the spotlight with the one thing he loves most: proof. Real receipts. And he's letting everybody know that if you're not making a documentary about your enemy's failure, you're not beefing at his level. Heck, 50 even talked about why the A-listers in Diddy's group have kept silent about this. 4 years, 50 has been collecting everything he could on Diddy, quietly, patiently, waiting for the perfect time. And now that moment is here. Diddy is locked up, yelling at his lawyers from behind prison walls. And he can't do anything to stop the 50's show from blowing up. Diddy's lawyers already tried. They put out a statement calling the video illegal and even pushed Netflix to take it down. Now, one big thing that wasn't included in the documentary was the death of someone really close to Diddy. Someone whose death Diddy was responsible for.
Anthony Wolf Jones.
Diddy's former bodyguard. Gene Deal recently spoke out about Diddy's role in the death of his bodyguard, Wolf, and criticized the documentary for leaving him out completely. He said the East Coast versus West Coast rivalry didn't start over Big Jake's death, as some have claimed. In fact, Wolf wasn't the gunman who killed Jake, and Gene believes that's something everyone involved knows. Wolf, who managed security and coordinated operations for Puff, had made it clear that he wouldn't fly unless his team was fully protected. He had told multiple people, including Puff and Kirk Burrows, that he wasn't going anywhere without proper support.
And Kirk Burrows called me up. He's like, yo, Gene, you and Wolf, I got y'all tickets to LA. I said, all right, cool. So I go down there and I pick up the tickets to LA. I got Wolf ticket. So I'm calling Wolf up. I said, yo, Wolf, I got your ticket to go to LA. Wolf said, I ain't going. I said, what you mean you ain't going? He said, yo, Gene, I ain't gonna tell you how I'm making I ain't gonna tell you how to make your money, but I'm gonna let you know this. I told Puff them if they wasn't gonna take 2 tour buses of my niggas out there with us, I'm not going. Wolf is the head of all the functions that has to do with Puff dealing with security. I have my own contract with Puff, yeah. Paul Offord ran Green Gate Security, which is the daily operations of Puff stuff. That's his house, his cars, his transportation. He ran the the office, the bad boy office, the clothing, all that shit. He ran the deli operation with his security. Wolf is over whatever's happening with Puff. You understand? Wolf tells Puff them and tell Kirksborough them, no, if y'all not going out there right, nobody should go out there at all.
Tragically, Wolf ended up losing his life while protecting Puff and handling security issues. Gene emphasized that this important part of the story, including Wolf's connection to BMF, was completely left out of the documentary.
Wolf did not and was not going anywhere that had to do with California. And it wasn't because of the Jake situation. It was that he wanted to be safe, and the only way he felt safe if he was going out there with the dudes from his clique. And that was the Valley Mob. That's the only way. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his bullshit. And people they didn't even put that in the documentary. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his bullshit. And that bullshit was with BMF. That's a big segment in my book that I wrote that whole shit. I wrote a whole big situation in my book regarding that, Mike. And I know you're doing this. I want to say that right there because I was there the night that Meech had promised Puff, you know what I'm saying? He ain't have to worry about Suge Knight. He ain't have to worry about nobody from this point on. And telling Puff some shit like that made him think that he could talk to Wolf any kind of way. Because if anybody knew BMF was powerful back then, they had dudes from everywhere. And Meech telling him he ain't have to worry about nobody no more, it made Puff think that he could tell Wolf that he didn't need Wolf no more. And one thing led to the
Janice point is simple.
Wolf's death wasn't just an accident or a small side story. It was tied directly to the dynamics of the industry and choices made by those in charge. And it earned more attention than the documentary gave it. Meanwhile, Diddy and his family are reportedly preparing a massive $1 billion defamation lawsuit, probably the largest in history, as a response to the documentary. But even with all that, 50 Cent noted that taking legal action would mean showing that everything said in the documentary is false. That opens a huge door and could cause more complications. Financially, Diddy is having a challenge. Even with his wealth, keeping up with ongoing legal fights, appeals, and lawyers is draining. Without new income, the lifestyle he's used to will be harder to support, and that may end up being the real punishment. Now, the real problem for Diddy is that he secretly recorded private talks with his lawyer, Mark Agnello, the very person who had successfully defended him in court. That's a big betrayal. Lawyers rely on client confidentiality and privilege to talk honestly and protect their clients by allowing a third party to be present and recording those conversations. Diddy completely destroyed that trust.
Garagos, who is my co-host on Two Angry Men, he's represented Diddy for years, and his daughter is part of the Agnifilo defense team, and he was involved in all of this. So in this past weekend's podcast, I pushed him to find out how Agnifilo really feels here, and Mark kind of skirted it some, but I think you get the sense. Diddy knew that Mark was being recorded, but Diddy didn't tell Mark. Does Mark feel betrayed by Diddy?
I've not talked to Mark about it.
What do you think? What do you think?
I will tell you, I'll just tell you, if it was me, I would be more than a little upset. I was more than a little upset when the client didn't know and I was being recorded. I mean, there was a while there where I was meeting clients under bridges, freeway bridges, because I was PTSD over it. So I think, as a lawyer, it is one of the most inviolate oaths that you take to protect the client confidentiality and the client privilege. So I don't know, I haven't talked to Mark, but if I were Mark, I would be out of my head.
Out of my head.
It's incredible. Diddy did two things here. Number one, he betrayed Mark Agnifilo, who, to your point, did so much for him. Obviously, without Mark Agnifilo, may very well be spending the rest of his life in prison. The second thing that he did is, by having a third party that's privy to the conversation, the videographer in this case standing there, there's no privilege, right? Diddy waived that entire privilege. Right. Now, it didn't end up backfiring because it seems nobody knew about it until the end of trial, and what are you going to do at this point? But it's such a callous act by Diddy to just sell out his lawyer like selfish. That. It's so...
And ever since Diddy made this incredibly stupid mistake, the shocking truths about his criminal business and activities just haven't stopped coming out. The docuseries sprinkles in footage from this time showing Diddy on the streets, stopping to take photos with people, mostly guys, who approach him. In one moment, he jokes about needing hand sanitizer and a bath after all the hugs he's given, saying, "That's what I have to do." It's like 150 hugs. You feel me? We've got to be serious about what's going on out here. It's time to clear. In another clip, Diddy talks about hiring an editor to put together clips of Don Richard, a former member of his groups Donity Kane and Diddy Dirty Money, who has filed a civil suit against him, alleging sexual assault, battery, harsh working conditions, and inadequate pay, where she speaks positively about her relationship with Diddy. In case you guys didn't know, Don has very good reason to say negatively about him. So, Diddy, even trying to portray the opposite is pure evil.
On the stand for 20 minutes. She will continue on Monday, but before I tell you what she testified to, I do want to give you a warning that she does talk about violence and abuse. Started off with Dawn testifying that she was working with Diddy from 2004 until 2011. She opens up about an incident she witnessed in 2009 when she went to Diddy's home in order to record. She said her and Cassie were downstairs when they heard Diddy yelling and coming down saying, "Where the F are my eggs?" She said Diddy grabbed the skillet full of eggs and tried to hit Cassie on the head, and she went down in a fetal position. He was punching and kicking Cassie before he put his arm around her neck. Diddy then grabbed her by the hair and dragged her up the stairs, and she was in shock. She said she was so in shock she did not intervene, nor did she call the police. Next day, she said Diddy locked her and another person in the recording studio and threatened them. In her own words, he said what we saw was what lovers in passionate relationships do. He said Cassie was okay and it would be in our best interest if we didn't say anything. He claims that Diddy then said he was trying to get them to the top of the industry before threatening them by saying where he comes from, people go missing if they talk. Then after all of that, he got them flowers. Prosecutor then asked, "How did you understand that?" And she said, "Death." His attorney yelled objection, and then they had a sidebar. That's when attorneys from both sides will come up to the judge and whisper between one another and nobody else can hear.
If she witnessed, and she's saying that she witnessed a gangbang, which actually we know it as called a train. And she worked on the album, The Train to Paris. And like I heard one of the YouTube, it could be Tistel, say that we didn't know what the train to Paris meant. But now we know that the train of Paris was a train in Scotland, according to Dawn. It wasn't a train in Paris, it was a train in Scotland. Now, only time I ever witnessed Puff doing something is when two guys and two girls would go in the room. And that was just regular. And however they did it, whatever they did, that was their business. But he gotten bold enough, whereas that he would do that in front of Dawn and other people at a poolside in Scotland. You sure it was Scotland, man?
Yeah, that's what she said, man.
Scotland, Arizona, but not Scotland, the country.
Nah, she talking about the country, man.
Wow. I just think that, you know, man, you got to go back to the drugs and the alcohol, man. The drugs and the alcohol, man. And those things that make you do strange things. And for somebody to somebody that's just gang banging an assistant, she might have a lawsuit now too. She might have a lawsuit too. Because you can't do that to people that work for you.
The series also includes audio from a 2008 proffer interview with Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, who is currently facing trial for the 1996 murder of Tupac Shakur. A proffer is basically a formal deal where someone can talk to law enforcement and provide information without worrying that what they say will be used against them in court, though it's not full immunity. In the documentary, Davis gives a detailed account claiming that Diddy reportedly arranged Tupac's murder for $1 million.